Current Issues in Education is an open-access, peer-reviewed academic education journal sponsored by the Mary Lou Fulton Teachers College of Arizona State University. This journal is produced by Arizona State University graduate students and publishes articles on a broad range of education topics that are timely and have relevance in the field of education both nationally and internationally. It is in this journal's 14th volume, published in 2011, that I found a rather special article. The article is titled, "Enacting Culture in Gaming, A Video Gamer's Literacy Experiences and Practices" by Aaron A. Toscano. According to the abstract, this article is a case study of a young adult video gamer and his literacy acquisition in relation to video game play. The author conducted an interview with the gamer and read texts the gamer produced, both creative and personal. The interview and textual analysis revealed evidence that the gamer's literacy practices are influenced by his immersion in the virtual worlds of gaming environments. So this sounds totally reasonable to me and not controversial at all. It sounds to my ears like they're saying someone who plays games will pick up ideas from those narratives and apply it to their own story writing, just in the same way that, as a writer, you would be influenced by books you've enjoyed. However, just like you can't judge a book or even a video game by its cover, you cannot judge a paper by its abstract. Without even getting into the meat of the article, I'm going to demonstrate that the author is most likely crazier than a box of frogs, or at the very least that he came into this with a very particular bias, or maybe even an ulterior motive. The paper is open access, so I don't presume there will be any problem with me reading significant chunks of it. I will also be linking to this article in the video's description if you want to go read it yourself. So let's get tearing into this. Video games can serve as cultural repositories for a literacy analysis. Brent does not acquire literacies in a vacuum. Instead, Brent acquires literacies as both a subject and agent immersed in culture. Culture and the culture's dominant ideologies mediate all forms of production. Education and literacy acquisition are not outside of culture. Video games, like films, are cultural products that enact culture and display values entwined with culture. I'm gonna give you, like, 10 seconds to take a little guess which direction this paper is going to go in. Okay, here we go. Therefore, video games do cultural work, and gamers acquire cultural literacy by absorbing video game narratives. Societal characteristics are incorporated into video games, much like ideology is carried out in all semiotic systems. For instance, most first-person shooter video games allow the gamer to take on entire armies, huge gangs, and even hordes of zombies by himself. Hold it right there, that is a huge claim to make. It doesn't seem true to me. Most first-person shooters let you do that with no aid, not even from NPCs or anything like that. Strangely, there isn't a source for this claim, but there is an endnote. Let's go check it out. How does he justify this claim? The male pronoun is used to reinforce that this study is based on a male gamer. Well, I guess if you aren't expecting the people reading your article to actually check your endnotes, that little superscript number 2 does make it seem a little bit less like you pulled that fact out of your ass. Such a situation is impossible in reality, but it reflects another male-dominated genre. The American action film, specifically ones with a single male hero, such as the Rambo films, many Arnold Schwarzenegger films, and the Missing in Action trilogy. These films appeal to male audiences and reflect the pervasive ideology of individualism that claims an individual is seemingly all-powerful and can overcome enormous odds and be victorious. Couple things here. Sorry, do these films not appeal to female audiences? They may especially appeal to male audiences, but that seems like an odd statement. And where exactly is it pervasive? If it was widespread, you'd think he wouldn't need to specify action films and then further specify action films with a male lead. That doesn't sound very pervasive to me. This sounds like an angsty LiveJournal entry by a snarky Marxist kid. Speaking of which, the individual hero is an American ideology, but it resonates with such archetypal characters from mythology as Ulysses, Hercules, and David. Gamers embody their on-screen avatars and engross themselves in campaigns where they conquer the video game domain with unlimited ammunition and awesome fighting skills. You know, like the awesome fighting skills of Kratos from the God of War series. With his immense might as an individual, he can even kill gods. What a huge coincidence that some characters in Greek mythology resonate with the American ideology of the individual hero present in this game. Such a description is not completely accurate for the entire history of video games. For instance, 1980s video games such as Frogger and Donkey Kong, but those games reflect the myth of the American dream that claims an individual can persevere regardless of the obstacles. In Frogger, it is traffic and a fast-moving river, and in Donkey Kong, it is barrels thrown by a huge gorilla that has captured the princess. Look, I'm sorry, I don't know what kind of troubles you have in your life, but I can cross a road on my own just fine. I also quite like how the stakes have been lowered from a zombie army to jumping over some slowly rolling barrels. I'm just gonna say it now, I bet I could do that in real life, and I bet it would actually be harder if I wasn't on my own. This guy was specifying American stuff, you know, American action films, and now he's using a Japanese game and not mentioning this change. And wait, I said a Japanese game because we all know that Nintendo is a Japanese company, but he is saying that Frogger is a game by Activision, an American company. That's a very convenient mistake when you're trying to make sure all of this sounds very American. Frogger was developed by Konami, a Japanese company. Activision, as far as I know, had nothing to do with it. They weren't even its publisher. And on top of that, this is not about a single character overcoming the odds. You control one frog after the other, shepherding them to safety until eventually, as the game gets harder and harder and your skill cannot possibly keep up, they all die. That's not really what I'd call the American dream. As cultural products, video games reflect hegemonic values. For instance, living in a capitalist society, we can expect games to reflect values related to acquiring wealth, perseverance, and free markets. Oh god, this is the joke everyone makes when we talk about video games causing murder. They say, oh, does this doctor game make me a doctor? Oh, does Mario make me a capitalist? Here's one I haven't heard before though. Apparently, Hitman makes you a libertarian. You know what? I give in. He's convinced me. The American dream is a myth. No single person could possibly stomach combing through this entire article on their own. But, as usual, that's just another one of my harmful opinions.